Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Angel. I'm your host, Angel Carmel, and I try to come to you every single week to bring you adult conversation, content that stimulates your mind, that makes you think, that leaves you maybe with a different perspective or sharpening the perspective that you already have. So, as you come in, I welcome you. If this is your first time joining me on my weekly podcast, Conversations with Angel, I'd like for you to relax, sit back, indulge in the conversation. I'd love for you to come into the box and have some dialogue with me. And just to let you know what we're talking about tonight, I just finished dinner. To let you know what I'm talking about tonight, I am talking about love bombing and future faking. Love bombing and future faking. Oh, what is this in my? Let me make sure that you all are not looking at my dinner. Can't stand to have something stuck in my teeth. But anyway, again, I am Angel Carmel. And what I want you all to pay close attention to is the differences between love bombing and future faking. Hello, Edwin. Welcome in. I'm your host, Angel Carmel, and I'm excited about this topic because you hear both of the terms used on a regular basis. You hear people saying that they've love bombed or they love bomb. Thank you so much, Maisha. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As you come in, please, please, please tap, tap, tap the screen. Let's get to 10,000 likes so that we are on the For You page, so that we can engage more people on this conversation. I'm your host, Angel Carmel. If this is your first time joining me in my live, welcome. It is a pleasure to meet you. If you've come week to week and you've learned some insightful adult content, then welcome back and thank you for allowing me into your space tonight. What is tonight's topic? So, I wanted to talk about love bombing and the difference between love bombing and future faking. So, a lot of people say, well, Angel, what in the world does it mean to love bomb? What exactly is that? Well, love bombing, and of course, you know that I come with my notes because I like to research our topics before we get deep into it. Thank you all so much for the likes. Please, 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 please tap the screen, share the live with 5 people. Let's get to 10,000 likes. So, love bombing means showering someone with over the top positive attention, often through flattery. You're constantly complimenting the person. You are getting into their emotional headspace. It might include frequent texts. It might be public displays of affection. Hello, beautiful boss lady. Hi, sis. Welcome in. If you all are not following the real boss lady, I want you all to tap on her name and follow her because she's sweet, she's down to earth, but she is hilarious. She's the queen of lip sync. I've never seen anybody do it better. So definitely follow my sister friend, the boss lady. So, love bombing, public displays of affection, surprise gifts, and there's a myriad of other things in love bombing. Now, let me be clear, showing affection in a healthy relationship is exactly what you want. But these behaviors can become very toxic when it's in excess and when it's early on. Remember, if you're not new to my timeline, my TikTok, my timeline, if you're not new, you've heard me say over and over, dating is about data collection. And so tonight's live, love bombing And future faking is to help you to learn more as you navigate these dating spaces. So there's motivation behind love bombing that's different from showing affection in a healthy relationship. And so, love bombers, listen to this, love bombers try to influence their partner's thinking by controlling their emotions. Controlling their emotions. Constant affection at the beginning of a relationship can be so effective that it makes you, as the recipient of a love bomber, it makes you feel like, oh my God, this is the one. And oftentimes, ladies, we are guilty of love bombing men and using it as a form of manipulation. And so you have to be really careful. I know that you might get excited about being with your partner. You might think, oh my gosh, this is great. Great question. Ask me. Love bombing it means showering someone with over the top. This is like crazy. And I'm going to give you all plenty of examples to recognize love bomb. But the scientific definition of love bombing from Mental Health Magazine and Psychology Today says, love bombing means showering someone with over-the-top attention, often through flattery. It includes excessive compliments, frequent text, public displays of affection, surprise gifts, among a myriad of other things that is always toxic. And again, please understand, you want things like that in the beginning of the courting process, but no one should be love bombing you within the first 2 or 3 meetings. They've not had enough time to data collect. They've not had enough time to get to know who you are. When you see that coming to you, it is incredibly manipulative, and that person has control over your emotions. Once they have you, especially if you feel like it's too good to be true, chances are it is too good and it's not true. So then we're going to talk about future faking. So you're thinking, those of you who have followed my content, you've heard me use both terminology, future faking and love bombing. Future faking. Future faking is when a person lies or promises something about your possible future in order to get what they want in the present. Let me repeat that. Future faking is when someone makes promises to you. Thank you so much, Omega. Hello, love. Who makes promises to you for something in the future to get what they want right now. And that is a huge difference between love bombers and what they do and future fakers. So I'm going to give you some examples so that you will see the contrasting differences between love bombing and future faking. So a love bomber will pick up a bomb sports car. So let's say it's love bomber is a guy. He picks up a Porsche or a Mercedes sports coupe, and he drives you to a 5-star expensive restaurant, calls out all the stops. He hands you a bouquet of roses. He takes you to a spot where there's live music, whether it be, one of the top DJs in the city or a full band. He'll take you to those spots, okay? And then you'll be like, oh my God, this is the best first date ever. Then the next day, you get to your office and there is a bouquet of roses waiting for you with the note, I enjoyed last night or this weekend. It was absolutely amazing. You are the best thing to ever happen to me. And then you look back and you realize, or you discover, the car was a rental. He only rented the car to impress you. He dances with you only in public, dotes on you only in public. And then when you get behind closed doors, you realize that he's manipulating your emotion and it's too late. Hello, Stanley, sweetheart. Stanley, I am talking about love bombing versus future faking. That's what a love bomber, that's an example of what a love bomber will do. A love bomber will introduce you to important people very early. You've had 2 dates and they are declaring their love and affection for you, and they want to introduce you to their mother or their father or maybe even their children, because they see you, they're saying to you, they see you as a father figure. They see you as a mother figure. Love bombers will introduce you to people that are extremely important to them, and they are setting you up. They're setting you up. Another thing is when they give you over-the-top excessive compliments. Every time they call you, every other sentence, beautiful. Oh, you're so gorgeous. We look so good together. Everything about you is just articulate. The way you speak, the way you smile. Oh my gosh, I love your hair. Now, we love compliments, don't get me wrong. But when it gets to the point where the compliments are empty, you wake up the next day and they say something like, your breath never stinks. It always smells like roses. Before you brush your teeth. And we all know your breath might not be, just blah, but it's not going to smell like roses, for God's sakes. No, that's not going to happen. Okay? A future faker. Okay? Future faker. A future faker will say things like, I see us, settling down together. I see us having 2 kids and a dog named Spot. I see us being so happy in a farmhouse in the country. And this is maybe the 2nd or 3rd date. They're promising a future with you. Okay? And you barely know the person. Then you start looking at houses together. You're talking about the perfect house and the perfect dog and the perfect yard and the beautiful babies that you're going to have together. But after 6 months, or let's say a year, no one is looking at a house. He or she has no intention. They haven't saved a dime of money. And a lot of future fakers are in long-term relationships with people. They may say things to you like, I know I lost my job last month, but I'm going to get a job. We're going to work this thing out. And you discover that they've never even fixed their resume. They hadn't even sent it out. They don't even have a profile on LinkedIn. Okay? Or a boss. Bosses sometimes are so guilty of future faking. They'll groom you for a position and tell you you are in position for a promotion. They'll give you more work. They'll start piling on hours. And the next thing you know, everyone around you in the department has gotten promoted but you, and you're overworked and underpaid. And because you hadn't said anything, the future faker is counting on you just letting it go. And there's no promotion in sight. As a matter of fact, all of the places that you can go and be promoted into, the positions have been filled. And you might be years into the role being overworked and underpaid. That's where an employer is a future faker. You all continue. Thank you so much for the likes and the shares. Continue to tap the screen. Let's tap, tap, tap. Let's get to 10,000 likes. Another, you meet a guy. Let's say you meet a guy online. He checks off all the boxes. He's handsome, intelligent, great conversation, and let's say he's long distance and he makes plans to come out and see you. And then you've been talking for 6 months, maybe even a year. He hasn't even purchased the airline ticket or made the drive to come and see you. But you're hanging on to every word. Ladies can be extremely guilty of future faking as well. Telling you, I'm super busy, I'm going to call you right back, and they never do. Or you have a conversation with them on Monday and they say, I'm busy, I'll give you a call tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, you don't hear from them. Those are signs of people that are future faking. Continue to tap the screen, everyone. Hello. I don't want to miss any questions as I go through the difference tonight on Conversations with Angel. Let's tap, 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 tap. Now, at one point I looked up and there was 100 people in here. So we're not tapping. So let's tap the screen. Let's get to 10,000 likes. Please share this with 5 people. As a matter of fact, if you know someone who is a love bomber or a future faker, share this live with them. If you know someone who is in a relationship, I thought you were telling my story, but my guy showed up. You know what, Devin, I know that this is somebody's story. It's a lot of somebody's story. And to Stanley's point, Mr. Roll with me, there are people that love bomb and don't know it. It's become a habit. It's second nature because of their maybe lack of self-esteem or poor judgment of themselves, not knowing their worth, and wanting to cling on with someone so tight that that's the only option that they know. So let's continue to tap, 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 tap the screen. Let's share the live. Let's get to 10,000. Thank you so much. If there's any moderators in the house, let's make sure that everyone knows the topic tonight. We're talking about love bombing versus future faking and how both of these behaviors are extremely toxic, extremely, and they leave people emotionally exhausted. And the people that are doing it are emotionally abusive. You hear the terminology narcissist thrown around on social media all the time, but one of the traits of narcissism is emotional manipulation and love bombing. Thank you so much. Love bombing and future faking are 2 types of emotional manipulation. Okay? Another example of a love bomber. They'll spend time with you non-stop. They want to suck every bit of energy from you, spending time with you, causing you to stop interacting with people that are important to you that you once hung out with. Because the love bomber wants you to spend infinite hours with them. You start neglecting your family relationships. You stop seeing family. You stop hanging out with your guys. You stop hanging out with your girls. Because the love bomber is insistent on you spending time with them. You start even ignoring work obligations. You might be volunteering or in clubs or civic organizations, but the love bomber, who knows all of this, they know all of this about you. They begin to monopolize your time so that you are constantly with them. You're spending so much time with the love bomber that this is causing a problem for you outside of them. That's a toxic behavior. The other is they give you excessive introductions to people. I talked about this earlier. You meet somebody, you go on a date with this person, and after the first date, they're talking to their family about you, and they're insistent about you meeting their family. After the first date, you're not even in the courting phase of dating, and they want you to meet the family. What's even scarier is a lot of women, unfortunately, a lot of ladies, we love bomb. And because at that moment we feel like we're filling a void, we have to be so careful, because sometimes we will try to introduce these people to our children, to our young children, and you barely even know them. Another example of a future faker is they will make a promise to you about getting married. How many of you all put a heart in the chat? Put a heart in the chat if you know someone who has been engaged and there's no wedding date in sight, but years have gone by and they're still engaged. They're engaged, either one of both of them are future faking each other, but typically it's one person that's future faking. He or she has made a promise, we're going to get married after I do this. We're going to get married when I get my finances together. Only to discover that they are spending like there's nobody's business. Their behaviors don't change, but they're making promises to you for the future, but their current state doesn't change. Their behavior is not indicative of someone who wants to get married. Another example of a future faker, you're dating someone. You're dating let's say you're dating a woman, fellas, and she's unemployed when you all meet, but she seems to be getting by. She's making do what it do. And she's telling you constantly, I'm going to get a job. Things are going tough out there. I'm definitely going to make it my own. She manipulates you into maybe paying a bill or two, maybe sending her some money in her Cash App, only to discover that she has not looked for a job and she's been unemployed for months. She's future faking you, guys. She's future faking you. She's manipulating you and using you for her personal gain. Don't be fooled by future faking women. Ladies, don't be fooled by future faking men. What do I mean? You giving him all the cookie. He comes and gets it whenever he wants. You cook for him. You clean his house for him. You go out on dates. Yeah, he has you out in public. Then he moves in with you with the promise of the future of getting married. Hey, Tally. And then a year is gone by. Year 2 is gone by. Oh, yes, we're going to get married. We're going to buy a house together. And it never happens. Because a future faker will make promises of the future that he or she has heard you say as a goal for yourself to keep you engaged. Future fakers buy extremely expensive gifts. And what those gifts do is, for some, it keeps you hostage, because then you feel guilty. Oh my God, he helped me buy a car. Our relationship is toxic, but I can't leave him. He helped me pay my light bill for 6 months. I can't leave him. He says we're going to get married. I can't leave him. He says that we're going to go on a cruise together, a 14-day cruise to Alaska. And only to find out that not only has he not planned, or she has not planned, hadn't put money aside, hadn't done anything, but they're keeping you engaged. They're keeping you hooked to them until you wake up and realize that you've been invaded by a future faker. Don't get caught up, y'all. Don't get caught. I'm telling you. So then the question you might be asking is, well, Angel, how do I know the difference? Because some of those things that you're describing to me is what I'm experiencing now in a relationship, and I'm happy, I'm whole. I mean, our relationship seems to be going the right way. How do you spot a future faker? What do you look out for? I'm going to tell you. Be mindful and critical of anyone that seems too good to be true. If that person seems too good to be true, guess what? Chances are they're oh no, do not disturb. People that know me know that I'm doing my weekly live with you all. So give me a heart or a thumbs up if you all can hear me. There's no weirdness going on. I had a phone call, so there might have been a delay, but let me know if you all can hear me clearly. We're almost at 10,000 likes. Let's tap, tap, tap. Thank you so much, Maurice. There's a moderator right there. Yay, thank you. Thank you, Maurice, so much for encouraging the likes and the shares. And continue to tap, 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 tap. There's another hello, Concrete Rose. It's one of my fellow coaches on the transformation team. Please follow my moderators. Maurice is in the building. Tally B is in the building. Concrete Rose. Please, 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 if you see moderator beside their names, follow the moderators. They also have amazing content. Thank you all so much, moderators, and thank you everyone for getting us to 10K. Continue to share. If you know someone who is in a relationship with a love bomber or a future faker, if you know a creator who's made content about being with the future faker or a love bomber, please share this live with them. Share this live with 5 people. Tap the screen and let's continue to keep our likes up. Another thing to look out for with a future faker, okay? Be mindful of when they habitually and repeatedly talk about the future. Here's the caveat. In order to make you complacent now, ask questions. Don't let them distort reality. If that man is promising that you are going to get married, ask questions. Okay, when? When can we set a date? Let's go start looking at venues. If he's proposed to you or promised a proposal, okay, let's go start looking at rings. If he starts to avoid the conversation, he changes the topic or uses future things that needs to be accomplished and you don't see evidence of those things happening, he is future faking you, sis. Here's another. Guys, if she tells you that she has a specific goal of something that she wants to do, maybe you all have had a conversation about a business that she's looking to start. You've given her money to start the business, and she keeps telling you it's going to happen on this day and this time, and it never happens, but she's continually still asking you for money. Guys, fellas, she is future faking you, and she is manipulating you to get what she wants in the presence. She is not being sincere. She's not being forthcoming. She's using you, and she's manipulating. Ladies, if he tells you, you all haven't met yet, he lives on the other side of the country, and he says, I'm coming to see you. I think I'm going to be in town in November. Let's make some plans. You don't hear about a plane ticket. He hasn't made a reservation at a hotel. He hasn't given you an itinerary. November comes and he's now pushing it to December. He is future faking. He has no intention of coming to see you. Do not be deceived by future fakers. Fellas, do not be deceived by love bombing women. A love bombing woman looks like this. She puts you on a pedestal. She'll call you your soulmate or say things like you're destined to be together before she actually knows who you are. She doesn't even know your birthday. She doesn't know your favorite color. But you're her soulmate, though. That's love bombing 101. Ladies, they want you to commit immediately. You go on one date. You have a great time. The date is amazing. You go home, you get on the phone with each other, and he suddenly says, I want us to be in a committed relationship. What? What? I see you as my wife, Angel. I've dreamed about you, and after tonight's date, I want you to be my wife. I don't want you to see anybody else. I can't imagine living without you. And I'm sitting here thinking, all I had was a hamburger and some fries. What you eat at dinner? Don't be sucked in. I'm laughing because I've experienced it. Many of you have experienced love bombing. And it is toxic behavior that could manipulate people so much that people have unalived themselves because they've been spun into this manipulator's web, these narcissistic tendencies that are emotional and mental abuse. Listen to me when I say a love bomber wants to know everything about you. Ladies and gentlemen, do not tell everything about you on the phone. That's not vetting. That is not vetting. Because what you end up doing is you start to tell things about yourself that they later use to manipulate you and suck you into their bombing web. A love bomber is insistent on asking you questions, very detailed questions. And I hate to say it, ladies, we are super guilty of giving this information. An example, what is your love language? First date, dialogue questions. Oh, that is so sweet. He wants to know my love language. See, he could be an imposter that will use your love language against you because then he's going to do everything the right thing. Fellas, when she's asking you questions about your job and maybe questions of, very specific personal questions that you shouldn't get into on the first date or even before meeting one another. That is a form of vulnerability. And for men, it is very, very manipulative because a woman will take that information. She will take that information if she is a manipulator. If she is love bombing you, I guarantee you that information will later be used against you. So men, will say, well, God, you all tell us you want us to be vulnerable and all this other stuff. Yes, but we also want you to be smart about it. Ladies, we want you to be smart about it. Be very leery of love bombing behaviors, love bombing people that are insistent about knowing things about you. Another, they're dumping their personal details. Love bombers will dump, hello Leonard, their personal details on you. Be very careful, and this is men and women. Be very careful when you're in the getting to know you and this person suddenly feels overwhelmingly comfortable to tell you about their childhood trauma. And you haven't even gone on your first date. That is unhealthy emotional diarrhea. Because basically they are expelling all of these personal details to you to suck you in so that you feel like you're comfortable with them and you will spill your personal information. And oftentimes a love bomber is lying. But they're so good at turning a story into making it sounds good. I mean, oh my God, I feel so special because when we were talking on the phone, he told me about the time when he was 7 years old and the person touched him inappropriately and how that made him feel. I can't believe he opened up to me like that. And we haven't even had our first date. Girl, you better run. Is you crazy? First of all, most men, particularly masculine men who know their worth, who are healed, will not open up their vulnerability to you that freely. No. A man that's healed, that understands his worth, he is not going to immediately open up to you. He's not going to do it. And yes, Nita, fake cry. He will fake, oh my gosh, you don't see a tear in sight, but he telling you about the girl that took his virginity when he was 12 years old and how that made him feel and all of the things he had to go through and he don't even know your favorite color. No. That's too much. It's too much too soon. And men are not going to be that vulnerable with a woman that they don't know. When it comes to men, they have to trust you with their vulnerability. And that trust comes with respect. They have to see that you respect them first. Then they know, okay, I can trust her, but I need to make sure that it's safe for me here. And he's not going to spill all of that information on the first date or the first telephone conversation. No, that's love bombing, and it's toxic. It's a toxic behavior. A love bomber, hear this, a love bomber violates your boundaries and has no respect of your boundaries. This is why it is so important, ladies and gentlemen. It is so important to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries so that you can identify when a love bomber is not adhering to your well-communicated boundaries. Let me say that again. It's one thing to have boundaries, but it doesn't mean a thing if you don't communicate those. Stop being afraid to communicate your boundaries, because your boundaries is what protects you. A love bomber constantly ignores your boundaries to the point you've even mentioned, they will bring up things that you've mentioned that you're not okay with. And a love bomber will do the total opposite of that. And oftentimes, a love bomber will do it publicly. If you have a specific boundary, let's say that one of your boundaries is you don't want him or her staying over at your house when your kids are home. You got to go home. You know, I have small kids. I know we fornicating. I know we're not doing the right thing, but I just need for you to get up before the kids wake up. I don't want you spending the night. A love bomber will convince you they'll be okay. They already know that I'm spending the night. They see us coming in your room. It's okay. Let me just go ahead and take a shower. I'll make it better after we do what we do. Don't you want to wake up in the morning with me? Don't you want me to hold you all night? I get tired of getting up in the middle of the night. I need to stay. Just let me stay just one night. And you have communicated what your boundary is. Next thing you know, they spending the night. They spending the night every night. The babies come up in there and she laying up in the bed. Boundary shot to hell. Because they love bombed you and manipulated you into believing that it was okay. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up with a love bomber. A future faker. I want you to be mindful and critical and careful to understand that they habitually and repeatedly talk about the future in order for you to be complacent. That's their MO. A future faker will habitually and repeatedly talk about the future in order to make you complacent. They keep talking about that cruise. Baby, I'm going to take you on an Alaskan cruise. And this is what we're going to do. I mean, the itinerary is tight. They talk to a travel agent. 6 months go by. No deposit been put down. We still don't even have a date. But you planning the cruise. We going next year. We're going to go next year. Next year come. Year end. December 31st. New Year's Eve. Baby, I thought we was going to go to Alaska cruise. Oh, yeah, we're going to go next year. We're going. And so their hopes, they're giving you just enough. So at first we just talking about it. It's going to be next year. You ask about it. Oh, baby, we're going to go. I'm going to talk to my friend that's a travel agent. Okay. You hooked. They go and talk to the friend that's a travel agent. They come up with the itinerary. They show you the itinerary. Yep, this is where we're going to go. This is where we're going. 6 months roll by. No Alaskan cruise. Future faking. Then you ask, well, baby, do we need to put down a deposit? What's the payment? Oh, I need to ask them about that because the last time I talked to my travel agent friend, they said that the peak season, but excuse after excuse. But you holding on to every single word because you waiting for the future faker to come through, and the future faker ain't never going to come through. Future faker don't even like the cruise. Don't even like to fly. Never even been on the airplane. How about this? The future faker, you find out you've been planning this trip with the future faker. They don't even have a passport. Y'all going to Italy. How you going to go to Italy without a passport? Hadn't even made a down payment with the friend that's a travel agent. Had put deposit down the first. But you're 2 years into this relationship. You're 2 years in, holding on to a future faker's promise that they are never, ever going to make good on. Now, those are extreme examples, but some of you all are in relationship with future fakers because they gave you a promise of something in the future to manipulate your right now. Some of you all are sleeping with future fakers. 2 years, 2 years, sweetness. Sounds like a married man saying he gonna get a divorce. Thank you, Sit. Thank you, Sit. Red Fox. Y'all follow her. Thank you. You are the side chick. You dating a guy, he's separated. He tell you he's separated. Yeah, I'm separated. The only reason why we haven't gotten a divorce is because it's really expensive. I'm saving my money. She's saving her money. Oh, okay. He landed on thick. She telling you, I can't stand my husband. We've been separated. We live in the same house, but we sleep in separate rooms. But we're going to get a divorce. I can still see you. He knows that we see each other. He knows about you. We're just still kind of in this marriage for the kids. That's right. Yeah, we in this marriage for the kids. You dating this married woman who's separated and telling you she getting a divorce, and 5 years later, y'all still, and she's separated. We're just trying to hold it together for the kids. The kids have left the house, went to college, graduated from college. They get married. The kids get married. But you waiting on that divorce from the future faker. How many of you all have been in relationships with future fakers and love bombers? I'm just, it's tight, but it's right. I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to free somebody tonight because some of you all are in relationships by yourself. Some of you in relationships by yourself. Let me say that again. I don't know. Maybe the ceiling fan hears me. Ceiling fan, did you hear me? Y'all don't hear me. If you hear me, tap the screen. Share the live. Ceiling fan. Some of these people, some of y'all that's on the FYP, they hadn't even come into the live. Y'all watching me from the FYP because you know that you sleeping with a future faker and a love bomber or both. And you're in denial because they're treating you good. The promises sound good. This is not normal behavior. This is narcissistic. This is emotional and mental abuse. For you page, sweetness, for you page. There's some people that's hiding out in the For You page because it's tight. It's tight up in here. It's hot. Because I'm trying to help people to understand when you are in a relationship with a future faker, I want you to think about all of the things that he or she has said to you that has not happened. Think about all of the promises, the habits that are changed, that they are going to change. I'm gonna stop smoking. I know that on your Match.com profile, you said that you do not like smokers. Boundary. You said, Angel, you said you would not date a smoker. And I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop. I don't even smoke around you. I don't smoke around you. I smoke when I get home. But I'm going to stop smoking. Okay. So they've already manipulated you into blowing up one of your boundaries. One of your boundaries, I will not date a smoker. I don't want to date anybody with cigarette smoke. Okay. Then she comes, baby, I know you said that you didn't want to date a woman that smokes. I'm going to stop smoking. I really, really am. 5 months, 6 months. You go over to the house, you give her a kiss, and you just kiss the ashtray. Why? Because she was future faking you when she said she was going to stop smoking. She's not going to stop smoking. Now, had you stuck to your boundaries in the beginning when she told you that she was a smoker, you wouldn't even be going through the emotional abuse and challenges, because you would stick to your boundaries and say, you know what? That's really a boundary that I can't do that. I've seen people die of cancer. So, I think you're a nice lady, but I can't do it. But instead, call me when you quit so I can, exactly, Mo, call me when you quit. And, if I'm not married and going on about my merry way, living my happily ever after, then so be it. But instead, the manipulation, the web that they've sucked us up into, love bombing and future faking, we tend to ignore. We relax. We get rid of our boundaries. Thank you so much. We get rid of our boundaries. And then the next thing you know, we're in a long-term relationship. We're emotionally exhausted. We've been manipulated into doing things that we ordinarily wouldn't do. We abandon our family and our friends. Our work-life balance is all warped. We start missing deadlines because we've been consumed with this love bomber. If you have family members that say, I don't even see you anymore because you always with old dude. You always with it. She don't want you to come around family sometimes. It's been 2 years you've been seeing that gal. You can't come to the family reunion this year? You said last year you was coming to the family reunion. You're avoiding everything and everybody. You can't even get through an 8-hour shift at work because the love bomber girlfriend, she calls you every hour. What you doing? What time you take a break? What you doing at lunch? Okay, call me when you go to lunch. You can't even breathe. Then you get home, she's sitting in the car, but she might have manipulated you to give you keys to her house. She's sitting in the house. You just want some time to yourself. The boys want to come over and watch the game Thursday night. I can't because my girl over there. Then your boys looking at you like your girl over there all the time. You don't have a life outside of her? No, because she love bombing you to death. Can I tell you, that's not healthy. It's not. Do not be love bombed. Do not be with a future faker. Hey, Gumbo. Hey, love, how are you? Gumbo, we talking about future fakers and love bombers. Now, of course, I am using examples and making light of this, but please understand that this behavior is toxic. And people that love bomb and people that are future fakers are exhibiting narcissistic characteristics that are emotionally draining and abusive. It is October. Many of you know that October is for breast cancer awareness. But October also is for domestic abuse awareness. Many, many, many love bombers and future fakers start by those two mental and emotional abuses before it escalates to physical abuse. So though I'm making jokes and making light of it, I wanted to bring this topic to you tonight because more often than not, love bombing and future fakers become violent. Love bombers become violent. Nita, I'd love for you to come up if you want to share your story. I'd love for you to come in the box. Love bombers and future fakers. Love bombers. What's really, really toxic about their love bombing behavior is because oftentimes they don't even realize that they are love bombing you. That's what makes it so dangerous. They don't realize that they're doing it. Now, some are very manipulative and know that they're love bombing you. But oftentimes with love bombers, they don't realize they're doing it because what they're doing is inflicting their low self esteem, their lack of their own individual worth onto you. And so then they have to attach themselves to you because they feel like they don't have anything else. So once they have what do you think that they're doing? What do they think that they're doing? What they think that they're doing is showing you what their definition of affection is. In their minds, they feel like, well, if I show him this affection, he'll never leave me. She'll never leave me. So I've got to love bombers. I've got to add on all these layers of attention because I can't be complete by myself. I have to have this person with me. So they overly communicate affection. They overly communicate compliments. They consume your time. They distract you away from people that you ordinarily are with because they don't see their own individual worth. You make their worth. And we all know when you know your worth, no one makes your worth. What the other person does is shows you how you are valuable to them. They dictate the value. But a person that's love bombing you, unfortunately, what they're doing is making you suffocate with their emotional abuse. And those folks that know that they're doing it, it escalates into future fakers. And that's when they start making promises of the future to keep you hanging on, keep you clinging to every word because they don't want you to leave them. Hello, Concrete Rose. Beautiful. How are you, sweetie pie?
Girl, you up here telling my whole story.
Welcome to Conversations with Angel.
Oh, I'm sorry I got my camera off. I am like in the after work effects looking real crazy right now.
I'm sure you look absolutely gorgeous, but I'll give you a pass if you must not come on camera.
Oh, a little crazy. I don't want to scare the people.
Don't scare the people.
Listen,
Hello.
you nailed every single. This is a beautiful live because that is exactly how my situation played out from beginning to the end, from the love bombing at the very beginning, commandeering all of my time. The word I had actually used was, I feel like I'm suffocating. And initially, they're on the road. But then all of a sudden, they're not on the road anymore. And every single waking minute, I stopped doing TikToks. I wasn't going anywhere. I remember I was talking to Dee Dee one time, and it was some event that was coming up, and I was like, "How come I didn't get invited?" And she was like, "'Cause you stopped coming outside."
Right.
We didn't know what was going on with you. You disappeared.
It was my birthday.
That's what it was. Commandeered all of my time, and it progressively got worse. The verbal abuse was introduced, and you nailed it. They do get violent. It ended up with me being choked out in the front seat of a pickup truck.
Right.
It totally ended in violence. I mean, I took about 8 months of that. It only took me about 8 months. Took about 8 months of that, and that's exactly how it plays out. And you don't, when you're in it and you don't even realize that you're in it, and then when you wake up and realize that you're in it, you're like, what the heck happened? When I would tell people like the manipulation part of it, I don't shack up. I'm not that person. But how is this man living in my house?
living in your house.
How did
And
you
and
get
and
here?
it starts out with future fakers. It starts out with, you know what, I'm just going to leave a few things here. I spend the night a lot,
Yes,
so I don't have to carry a bag. I'm just going to
yes,
leave a couple things here at the house, and then a
yes,
couple things becomes another couple things, and next thing you know, you are living together
yes.
and you
It's
cannot
like
breathe.
it was like hey, well, you have this garage and I'm paying for storage. So instead of me paying for storage, can I just give you a little something and put this stuff in your garage?
Hey,
Then,
Winston.
then next thing I know, things are in the closet. Now you have. When I think back on it, it's mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
mind blowing how it happened so fast. Even with the fake tears of manipulation. Like, oh my gosh, I'm
Now,
over.
let's go back. Let's go back to when you first met. Okay.
Mhm.
What was the initial deep conversation like? Walk us through that. That first like long conversation when you know the conversation, it's the butterflies in your stomach. It's like you're walking away from that conversation, think, "Oh my God, he's saying all the right things. He knows me." What was that conversation like, and what did you all talk about?
So that conversation was full of him giving me all kinds of accolades. So just to give a little context, I was recently divorced. I had just come out of being married from a spouse who cheated and literally gave myself no, but it was like he knew and he slid right in there. And come to find out, he did know because he had been watching me on TikTok because later on he ended up throwing in my face, what you gonna do? Go on TikTok crying again? Go on TikTok crying again? I was like, dang. Because Kyrie, I was talking to him a lot and he was helping me through some stuff. So yeah, I was very vulnerable on TikTok and he was in the cut watching that the whole time. So when the initial conversation, it was full of accolades and it was building me up and I'm this and I'm that and all of this stuff that in that moment you want to hear because you're already feeling depleted from the loss of the relationship. So in that moment you want to hear.
Right.
That was like right, Gumbo, that was the entry point. Ooh,
Yep.
child. I'm telling you.
Yes. Yes. Yes, mon ami. Yes. And so one of the characteristics of a love bomber, if you remember, I talked about they try to get and successfully get a lot of information from you.
Yes. And everything I ever told him, he literally threw it back in my face like a weapon. All the way down to, hey sis, all the way down to my son being missing, to everything. He threw everything. And I remember the day when I finally told him, I said, you know what, you're a demon. And I said, everything that you're trying to throw at me, you can't use that against me because I've already healed from it. And so when I got to the point where I stopped trying to de-escalate and I would talk back, that's when the physical kicked in.
Right. But by then, unfortunately, by then, you're almost powerless until you get to the point where it's a hard stop or a
Yeah.
hard no, because your boundaries have been blown up. All of the
Blown.
boundaries that you have, because when and ladies, because we use more words than men on average a day. Ladies use thousands and thousands of words a day. Men use a couple thousand. It is in our nature to talk. We want to verbalize our feelings. And so it is very comforting for us to be comfortable in expressing experiences, feelings, talking about those things. And so to a love bomber, He is collecting all of that information and
Mhm.
storing it in his mental Rolodex.
Mhm.
And at first, it seems as if, wow, he really knows me. He was paying attention when I talked about how I love to take walks in the park, sometimes after work. He was paying attention when I said that my favorite flower were tulips, and he shows up at my job with tulips. Well, see, part of that manipulation is to suck you in until you're comfortable
Mhm.
and settled,
Mhm.
just like a hunter and its prey. He or she, because let me tell you guys, it's not just men, it's men and women who are love bombers. They get you comfortable once they have all the information about you, and they change it in such a way that absolutely, Coach Gumbo, they have you to blow up, not even relax. You blow up your boundaries.
Mhm. One of the first ones I blew up was the smoking one because he I don't do smokers, but I gave him a pass. He smoked Black and Milds. Gave him a pass, and I don't like smokers. That was the first one of the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eugenia, these are yes and no. These are narcissistic traits, absolutely. But what tonight's topic, just to reset the room, everyone, thank you. Let's tap the screen. Let's get to 20,000. We're almost at 20,000 likes. We're talking about love bombers and future fakers. Tonight's topic is love bombers and future fakers. Can someone be both? Absolutely. And oftentimes, one starts and rolls into the other. Now, some people's manipulation game is so strong, they use future faking to tie you in.
Mhm.
And then they couple it with a little bit of love bombing so that you are waiting for those future things that never happens, but they love bomb you to the point where you are so relaxed, you almost forget about the trip that was promised. You
Mhm.
almost forget about the engagement. Then you eventually forget about the wedding, and next thing you know, you've been engaged for 10 years.
Mhm.
Or it starts off where they're future faking, making plans for the house that you all are going to build. But until then, I'm just going to leave a couple things at the house because I'm over here all the time. And then a couple things becomes a suitcase, becomes a shelf, a drawer in the curio, a closet, space being moved, garage being taken over for storage, and then you're living together.
Mhm.
And then your friends and family, when y'all get married? Oh,
Mhm.
we engaged, we gonna get married. But y'all been living together for 5 years. No. Or the toxic married woman. The
Mhm.
toxic married woman. She future fakes you guys. She future fakes you and says, "Yes, my husband and I are separated. I'm gonna leave him. He just doesn't fulfill me the way you do." Love bombing. He is nowhere near as intelligent as you are. He doesn't give me what I need physically. So I need to sleep with you as often as possible because you're feeling this void in me. And we're going to get a divorce. And a year goes by and you're still messing with this woman who's going to be getting a divorce from her husband. And then 2 years goes by and you all are still in this entanglement. She future faked you. Future fakers and love bombers. Nita, so when you realized that your love bomber was getting into a territory that was dangerous, how difficult was it to get away or get out?
Um, So for me, being a person that grew up as a fighter, and what I mean is, when you have, it's you can go two different routes if you grow up around abuse. You can either become the person that really folds to it, you know what I mean, or
Right.
you become the fighter. So I grew up and I was the fighter, and um, when I when it got after the choking, I was just like, okay. And I remember I couldn't talk for a week. I couldn't. If anybody knows me knows I'm a singer. I couldn't sing. I had like this popping thing going on in my neck every time I tried to eat. It was crazy. So at that point, I started planning, right? I'm planning because they're always around. So I'm waiting until they get this other job and go back on the road. Then cool, I can be good. But it started to escalate and it started to get to the point where I could no longer de escalate the conversations or the arguments. I didn't have it in me anymore. The fighter was coming out.
Right.
The old Nita who was a fighter was coming out. And I kept the loaded one up under my bed.
Right.
And and it was starting to look real good to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it just got to that point, and when it got to that point, it was easy. It was
Right.
easy because I knew where I was. I know me. If I start plotting in my mind, then afterwards I'm gonna execute whatever it is I'm plotting, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it was one day where they just would not stop. Went to three different stores and just would not stop. Just kept the threats kept going, the attitude, the degrading, the name calling, and we got
Mm.
to the last store, and I had had enough. I
Right.
was, you threatening me again? I just went off in the middle of Verizon. I called the police. The police say, ma'am, they come to give you the talk. You don't have to do this. I said, listen, let's be clear. You are not here. I don't need that talk. What you here for is to prevent me from having to be put in handcuffs in the back of your car, because that's where this is right now, because it was to the point where I am done. Like, I don't care what happens. I know that I can't fight you. So I
Mhm.
know that I'm going to have to put you down. And I know if I put you down, what that means for my future and my children and my grandkids. So enough is enough. And when I left, it was like abruptly, like the plan was blown up. There was no plan.
Right.
Plan was
Right.
blown up. I left that day because my youngest daughter was living with us. The police went, we got some stuff from the house. In that moment, he cussed out my youngest daughter, calling her bees and hoes, and in front of the cops and everything. And we left. It was no turning back, no turning
Wow.
back whatsoever, because I thank God did not allow me to get so deeply engraved in that to where it would be like some people where it can take them years to get out of it. And I've spent a lot of time in the closet on my face crying out to God, like, you got to get me out of this, because you know your daughter, and in a minute I'm going to blow up. That fighter in me is about to come back. But this
Yes.
time it's going to be much worse.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Someone asked the topic to reset the room. Again, I am Angel Carmel, and this is Conversations with Angel. I come to you every week with adult conversations on a myriad of things. And we're talking about love bombers and future fakers, love bombing and future faking, what that looks like, what to look out for. And I have Concrete Rose, domestic violence survivor coach. She is a coach with me on the transformation team, and she's telling her story of how she was love bombed and with a future faker, but more of a love bomber who turned violent. So I'm overwhelmed because I have So Ladylike who's joined us, who is also, as you all know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And you're looking at three amazing survivors. Last October, I did conversations with Angel Goes Purple, and I told my story. I've got another personal story that I'm going to end with tonight about a future faker who I dealt with, one of the ladies that I coach, and I want to share how this future faker totally disrupted her life. She isn't ready to come into conversations with Angel Live, but she did give me permission to share. So I will be sharing her story. So ladylike. I saw your comments in the chat. I felt compelled to bring you on. Part of the reason why it is so important for stories like this to be told is because there is someone, 1 in 3 women are victimized by domestic violence, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. 1 in 3. 1 in 20 men, yes, men are victims of domestic abuse, domestic violence. 1 in 20 men. Every 20 minutes, a woman is unalived as a result of an abuser. One woman every 20 minutes. Why is this important? That's why it's important. And sadly, because of those statistics, someone either in this chat, in this live, or watching on the FYP is a victim that needs to understand that there is a way out. So ladylike, I'd love to hear how your journey started. Did you have a future faker or a love bomber?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, Angel, I'm so thankful to be on your platform. This was very unexpected. So I just want to respect you and say thank you. And then to my sister there above me, that I love you both so much. Um,
Absolutely.
I think with me, it was both. Because I think I went into it very blind. One of the things that I do regret, um, and that's a strong word, one of the things I do regret is the swiftness of our relationship and our marriage. Because a lot of times when you move fast, you miss signs and you miss things that you
Yeah.
probably should have picked up on, during the dating phase. But I would have to say both of them. There were promises made, and during our initial dating phase, everything was like picture perfect. It was like
Mm,
too good to be true. And I'm like, okay, I'm a woman of God. I know I hear from God, and I'm like, this just feels right. It was just perfect. And
absolutely.
I would have to say, hmm, yes, expensive dates. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was spoiled and treated
Yes.
so well in the
Yes.
beginning. But I would have to say, when we got married, I saw a side of him that I'd never seen before. Um, and what I mostly dealt with was the angry spells he would have, or like the rage. And it got to
Mm,
the point to where I'm like, okay, I am literally terrified of at that time, my husband.
right.
And so I began to live in a lot of fear, um, just nervous, jittery all the time, because it was just, you never knew from day to day what he was going to be. And so you would go to church and put on this face because I was a minister's wife. And, I'm like, okay,
Ooh.
yeah. Yeah, you put on this face of, and then I think inside, I really wanted to protect my husband. Like I said, being a woman of God, I was like, this is going to work. It's going to be okay. But I had to eventually realize that this is not what God had for me. This is not God's will for my life. And that's when things begin to take a turn. And I could relate with my
Yeah.
sister. It got to the point to where I said, enough is enough.
Enough is
So with the rage, That turned into physical violence, just being belittled. And it was times where I was beginning to not like myself anymore. And I always loved being a woman, looking pretty. And since I will say, going through that, it really did something to my self esteem. My
Yes.
skin began to break out,
Yeah.
things like that. I just stopped taking
Hair
care of
falling out.
myself. That's right, hair falling out as well. And so I'm even currently in the process of regrowing my hair because of the stress. And
Yeah.
even times, if I could just share, it was times where my hair was being pulled, I'm being slung across the room, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, this is insane. And this
Yes.
is truly not God. So yeah,
No.
it was
And
a
it's
lot.
it's amazing. It is extremely painful
Yes.
when the person that you trust, you're covering, when the
Yeah.
covering, I was a pastor's wife, when the
Oh.
covering doesn't
Mhm.
protect you and is the
Yeah.
one who you are afraid of.
Yeah.
See, your covering is the person that is supposed to protect you. That's
That's
what
right.
cover means, to shield
Hmm.
from. But then when
Yeah.
your covering is marred by this psychological, emotional, and mental abuse, then
Right.
you are suffocating. You're
Yeah.
suffocating. And to be in a position that is so open that you
Hmm.
have to put on the face. You have to wear the big
Hmm.
hats and sit on the front row and be attentive and amen at the
Yeah.
right place, but you're crumbling in the inside, and it's so
Yeah.
lonely because you don't have any friends. You can't have
Right.
friends because you don't know who to trust if that
That's
That's
right.
it.
person is trying to get close to you because
Hmm.
they want to get close to the pastor,
Right.
close to you because they want power and elevation. So you're alone. And
Yeah.
what makes it so what makes it so dangerous
Hmm.
is when the manipulation is in full string, oftentimes the word of God is used to make you feel
Mm,
guilty.
Yeah. Come on.
mm,
Right.
And
Hmm.
then because you feel like, well, you're the scholar, you're the one who knows,
Hmm.
you translate and interpret the Bible, and you know how to speak it. The person that's the future faker takes behaviors that
Yes.
you've done
mm-hmm,
and makes it fit to the word, and then tells you what's going to happen to you moving forward.
mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
So the
Hmm.
judgment is there.
Right.
Look at this bread
Yeah.
roll.
And then you
And,
can't tell
Hmm.
oh,
anybody because wait a minute, you're amening, you're sitting in the front row,
mm-hmm.
That
you're
part. See.
co-signing the preaching and
Ooh.
his oration. You it must be okay.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right.
It's never okay.
It's
And see,
never
this
okay.
one, he wasn't on the pulpit, but he was the pastor's security.
Oh,
Ah.
And
Mm.
so we were pretty popular in the church,
Mhm.
in our church.
Mhm.
And
Right.
when 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 it all came out, because I got a protective order and all of that, the whole gamut,
Yeah.
it was like being abused all over again from the leaders of the church.
Oh, that right there is
And
nasty.
then saying, "Oh, well,
Ooh.
this could be a success story. You guys can work this out.
That
It can
girl,
be a
listen.
success story."
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
you
That's what I
move
was
out
told too.
to
Yeah.
free yourself from the emotional bondage and abuse, and then
Yeah.
the church, they don't want to see you not together. So let's come together.
Right.
Let's pray. We're going to pray for you all. We're
Yeah.
going to
Mhm.
pray for your marriage.
Right.
And I
Right.
found myself saying, don't pray for our marriage, pray for us. Because at
Yeah.
this
That
point,
part.
we are broken.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Concrete Rose, that I asked Coach Nita.
Okay.
Take us to your first date or your first real that conversation that was deep, that gave you the butterflies inside. What
Mhm.
did you all talk about? What, because the reason why I want you to go back, if you can, is
Mhm.
because this is all part of the grooming.
Right.
The master manipulators, the future fakers, the love bombers are groomers. They are grooming you. So, what was that
Mhm.
first conversation?
Mhm. Oh my goodness. So if I can recall our first conversation, oh wow, it was just, from what I can remember, it was what he desired, and he wanted a wife, and and at the time, when I met him, he already had two children, so it's like, I want to be able to have a mom for my children, and then I need a woman by my side, yeah, um, while I do ministry, different things like that, and then initially when we went on our first date, the butterflies came because he said, I know you didn't have a father growing up, but I hope to
Mm,
be able to be a good husband to you.
mm,
And instantly,
Darling.
yeah,
mm.
instantly I felt like, okay, well, maybe this is the one, because I always longed for love from my biological father, who is deceased now. But I always longed for that. And then I lost my grandfather when I was 14, the man who raised me. So to hear him say that to me, I really felt like he was the one, because
Did you
he
tell him
tempered on that.
though? Did so? Let me ask you this: in those initial conversations, did you
Hmm.
share that story about you wanting to have a father in your life and your grandfather dying, who was raising you when you were 14? Did you share that with him?
I did initially. When you're in that talking phase, you learn about your families. And I was like, hey, I lost my grandfather. He raised me. And everyone that knows me, Angel, knows that that was to me the greatest man that ever lived. So he knew how much he meant to me.
Absolutely.
So I felt like he used that as a um, form of manipulation to get to my heart.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
And
what he
this is
did.
why, so this is what
Hmm.
we're love bombers. I cannot
Yeah.
stress enough the importance of not sharing everything
Hmm.
so
That's
soon.
right. Hmm. Hmm.
He and women and men that are love
Yeah.
bombers and future fakers, they
Hmm.
listen and hang on to every word.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it seems so innocent.
Right.
and
Right.
and I've even taken that out of my list when I'm coaching. I have questions that you should ask. One of the
Hmm.
questions were, what was your childhood like? I've taken that out.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
question should not be asked until you're well into the relationship, you've established yourself. A lot of
Hmm.
times we share that information at the beginning, and you're either going to get an imposter or a love bomber or a future faker
Hmm.
that's going to use that information
Yeah.
against you. They're going to morph
Yep.
themselves into being that person because now they know your soft spot. Now they
Yes.
know what will get
That's
you
right.
there.
That's right.
So
That's right.
once you shared that information with him, he was
Hmm.
able to morph into being what you needed.
What I saw. Right. Exactly what I
Hmm.
saw and what I needed. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Now that you put it like that, even
Yeah.
thinking back, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it was. Absolutely. Hmm.
And so this topic is important, love bombing and
Hmm.
future fakers, because it's October, it's domestic
Hmm.
violence. Domestic Awareness Month and Domestic Abuse and Violence Month awareness. So
Mm-hmm.
I want everyone under the sound of my voice to understand that though it's recognized in October, this
Mm-hmm.
is a topic that needs to be talked about every single day.
Yeah, for
October,
real.
November, December, because I gave some statistics earlier. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 3 women are in a situation where they're fighting for their life.
Yeah.
1 in 20 men. 1 in 20 men. If you think about, if you are in your office and you work with 50 people,
Mm.
there are potentially 2 men in that group
Yeah.
that could be in an abusive relationship as a victim. As a victim.
Wow.
And we need to normalize the importance of bringing awareness
Mm-hmm.
and attention to domestic violence and abuse in men.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And let's
Yes.
stop calling men weak when they
Mm-hmm.
are being
Mm.
abused. It's
Yeah,
disgusting to me
that's right. Mm-hmm.
because, as we have seen and heard and demonstrated, the grooming process takes the form of manipulation of your mind and
Mm-hmm.
your heart. It has nothing to do with strength.
Right. That's right. That's what, you know what, I had one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that really that when I first started coming out of it that really triggered me was when somebody would say to me, and girl, how you let somebody put their hands on you?
Right. What do you
What?
mean?
That's so ignorant. No one
Yeah.
lets somebody put their hands on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you end up in the how do you end up in something like that? You
Mm.
just don't know. Like you don't know until
Right.
you're in it. And
Right.
this live is very important because a lot of people don't realize just how quickly
Yes.
uh what is it called?
Future
Goodness,
faker
Angel.
and a
A
love
future faker and a love bomber
Mm-hmm.
can turn violent. They don't
Yeah,
realize
quickly,
that
they
those are
can.
abusive people.
Yes.
quickly, quickly.
Yeah.
And we've got to
Mm-hmm.
normalize the fact that abuse, domestic abuse, comes in more forms than physical.
Please,
That's right. That's good. Yeah.
please. Because
Exactly.
Please
anytime I
Mm-hmm.
say
understand
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that the
I was
physical has come in many instances after the
after.
mental,
Right.
Yep,
emotional,
Right.
yep,
financial
Yeah.
yep,
abuse is real.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
So
Darnell
real.
said something that was very powerful, and I want to read
Mm-hmm.
to everyone. Darnell said, "It's exactly why men don't open up about anything because nobody takes it serious.
Wow.
Well,
There's
we
no
do.
true words because we have gotten used to bringing attention only to women as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to domestic abuse
Mm.
because we have conditioned our little boys not to cry when they fall off the monkey bars.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
told our little boys, boys don't cry, suck it up, hold it in, suppress it. So
Mm.
when a toxic woman
Mm-hmm.
poisons a little boy in a man, because what she's doing is she may not have the strength or the girth to overcome him, the woman attacks the poison attacks the little boy in the man,
That's right. That's
and
right.
it's called manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic tendency that
Mm-hmm.
makes men cold to vulnerability.
Ooh, that right there. Ooh. Yes, ma'am.
And so when a man decides, when he decides, because A wounded feminine woman who's used her body, who's used her sexual charisma to entice him, to suck him in
Come
for
on.
her own personal gain.
Mhm.
Once she gets him just close enough in to her, he becomes vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then when things don't go her way, like a true abuser,
Yes.
she throws it up in his face and uses it against him. He recovers from that, leaves that relationship, and then
Yeah.
just like a wounded person who's been shot 30 times, he bleeds on every single person that comes behind him.
Yes. Yes.
A woman who has been through abuse, please understand, by the time it gets to physical abuse, her mind is totally destroyed.
Absolutely.
That's it
Her
right there.
emotion is torn to pieces.
Yep.
The control over her is so overpowering, she doesn't even recognize her own emotional reflection.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
So though the black eye heals, the broken
Come on.
arm heals, the emotion that's connected to the pain is so raw. It's a scab in her heart.
Right. Right.
So please know that if you are a love bomber, if you are a future faker, you are an abusive, narcissistic, manipulative poison and a toxin.
That's just it. That's just
In
it.
that order.
Mm-hmm.
In that order.
That order. That's right.
Ladies, I just want to thank you all so much. Please celebrate these beautiful creators.
Bless your
As
heart.
I bring our topic to close. Let's celebrate these ladies, gift them, follow them, because it takes a tremendous amount of courage to come
Yes.
forward and share when you have been victimized. This is my second year doing something on this topic in October, and unfortunately, I can never find a guy to come and share his story. And so I say to any man that's listening to me, whether you're listening to me on the For You page or if you're in the chat, I want to say this to you. My lap is open.
Yes, Lord.
Find a woman who understands the importance of your heart, the importance of your mind. Find a woman that demonstrates to you that she can be trusted. How? If she's out in the street telling everybody's business to you, your business will be out in the street. She can't be trusted. If you communicate boundaries to her and she consistently breaks or tries to get you to bend on those boundaries, stay away from her. If you have been victimized by a love bomber, a future faker, and you know that the next step is a level of abuse that's intolerable, it is not your fault. You will not be judged. You can get away from that and be whole. There are coaches. Relationship Gumbo was in here earlier. Keith Shorter, part of the transformation team. There are men that are on our team. One is married, one is single. if you feel more comfortable speaking to a man. But let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't mean that you are weak. You are a king. You were brought into this world to lead. Do not allow the manipulation of a wounded feminine woman change who you are. Do not allow the wound that she cut in you to bleed on other women. There is a woman out there that's for you, that's going to love you and treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. Please understand that. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming into the box. I appreciate both of
Thank you,
you.
sis.
I love you for
Thank
sharing
you.
your story. I
We
appreciate
love
it.
you more.
So I want to say the last example that I want to give to you all tonight before I end is a lady that I have been working with. She came to me and she told me a story, one that she is struggling to get over. She met a guy. The guy was extremely handsome, very charismatic. They met on a dating app, a trusted dating app. Many of her friends had gotten on this dating app, had met guys. They met either halfway or he came to her. She eventually went to him. So her friends had success stories with this dating app. So she thought that she would give it a try. And she met a man. She met a man who said the absolute right things to her. Their conversations lasted into the wee hours of the morning. He wanted to know all about her future plans, where she was going in her career. He began to tell her about things that he wanted to do, dreams that he had. She started to help him. He wanted to start a business. She helped to write his business plan. She had contacts in the field that he wanted to go in and introduced him to key people that made a tremendous difference in the making of his business. Months went by and the conversations became intense. They would FaceTime one another, video chat, and he was promising, we're going to meet. We're going to see each other. You know, I'm getting my business off the ground and I'm going to fly out to see you. Months went by. The business plan got into motion. The contacts that she made for him started to make things happen. And each month went by. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'm coming to see you. I promise. I just got to get this in order. I've got to take care of this. She would tell her friends about this amazing man. They would show pictures to seemingly to her, his friends, and she to her friends. And then the plans finally started happening. They finally got to a point where they were going to meet. She found the hotel information for him to stay, even though they had had these intense conversations over the phone, and she really felt like she knew him, and she knew that he could stay, but her gut was just telling her, no, don't. She made the reservation at one of the nicest hotels in her city. She worked for an airline, so it was so convenient that she was able to get him a buddy pass that was next to nothing. She felt like she was in love. She knew it. Her friends was like, you know, just be careful. Yes, we met our guys on the internet, but just be careful. Be cautious. She told them, I know. It's okay. They FaceTime up until that moment. He did make it into the city. He flew in, they met, her heart was racing. Gosh, he is even more handsome in person. She let her guard completely down. You know what? You don't have to stay at the hotel. The chemistry is so deep. I feel like I've known you. We've talked on the phone almost every day. I've helped you start your business. You're highly successful now. And all of the plans that we made for our future is going to happen. It's going to come into fruition. And he was like, exactly. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I love you. She could not imagine these words coming out of his mouth. Their first meeting, after the connection, after conversation, after conversation, they even went out to eat. He even ate pretty. This is what she was saying, texting her friends saying, oh my God, I can't wait for you all to meet him. But her friends, when they tried to connect with her the next day, her phone calls went unanswered. Eventually, voicemail. Now her friends was like, oh my gosh, she has met her boo. Our circle is going to be whole. All of us have men. This guy is so great. He's so good for her. We wanted this for her. She's not answering the phone because her boo is in town for the weekend. Now, she had communicated the plans with her friends, and he was going to leave that Sunday. And that Monday morning, all of her girls were waiting for the update of this wonderful man that their friend had been talking to for almost a year. He came into town. He stayed at her house. But Monday came and no conversation. Tuesday came, no conversation. And the friends knocking at the door. What's going on? Hey, we've been trying to call you. They called her mother, her father, no answer. And then a welfare check was made. The police came knocking. Let us in. It's the police. No answer. The car that normally sits in the driveway was no longer there. So she wasn't home. Maybe she was at work. Phone calls to her job. No, we haven't seen her since Friday. Her coworker, best friend, was able to tell, oh, she left early on Friday because her boyfriend was coming into town. And she shared all of the information that she shared with the coworker, best friend, to her parents who went to her job looking for her. Friday comes, Monday comes, 2 weeks goes by, and no one knows where she and this man is. And then a father and a son go fishing. And they see just amongst the brush, it looks like a car. Is that a car? Did someone crash? They walk over to the car. And this friend, this daughter to a mother and a father, a coworker, a bestie, lay slumped over in her car, her body mangled, beaten. Why? Because she trusted him. She hung on to every single word. She believed him. She let her guard down. And now she's a statistic. And yes, this is someone that I knew personally. Keep praying for the strength of my dear friend, Nikki McFadder. Rest in peace. I thank you all for joining me tonight for Conversations with Angel. Love bomber, future faker. Know the difference. Know the signs. Protect yourself. This can happen to any man and any woman. Join me next week. The last Wednesday in October is Boo season. Halloween is around the corner. Got ghost? That's right. Next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm talking about ghosting. Have you been ghosted? Are you a ghoster? Let's talk about it. Thank you all. I love you so much, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. You all have an amazing night. Love you. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.